So today we are going to talk about 20 things which you should need to keep in mind if you are planning to buy a house in 2021. So whether you should buy a house or whether you should live in a rented house, that is an entirely different topic and that we are not going to discuss today. In case you want a video on that, let me know in comment section and I'll be happy to make a separate video on that. Also, I'm gonna share with you few bonus tips throughout the video, so keep an eye for that. So for your convenience, I have divided all the 20 points in 4 categories. Number 1 is prerequisite, that is all the homework which you need to do before going to look for a house. Number 2 is all builder related question. If you are in front of a builder, what all you need to ask. Number 3 is related to bank and loan. And number 4 is what is the future prospect of the house you're going to buy. So all the timestamps are mentioned in the description box. Enjoy the video. So very first thing which you need to decide whether you want to buy a house for an investment purpose or you want to stay in that. The question or the answer to this is very important and you will exactly know why in next few points. So a second thing is make a checklist of what exactly you want in your house and also what exactly you do not want in your house. So when I decided to buy my house, I was very sure that I want a very reputed builder, not a huge big builders like Lodha or someone, but a reputed builder who already have a lot of completed projects in their pocket. Also, my another criteria was I wanted a flat which is within my budget but is in a locality where it can be rented easily. So suppose you are buying a house for an investment purpose. In that case, you have to make sure that you purchase a house where a lot of industries are there or a lot of IT companies are there, so that people who come from outside want to stay in the same vicinity and your house can easily go on rent. That is that it can fulfill a purpose of investment. However, if you are planning to buy a house for staying, then your criteria should be that it should be nearer to your office, it should be nearer to your school's children or college, or it should be nearer to a marketplace, it should be nearer to a park if you like to go for evening walks or something. So that are the checklists which are mandatory to be written down. Maybe it sounds like, yeah, we know this, but it is very important to do that. And on top of that, it is more important to write down what you do not want in your flat. So number 3 is a size of flat is a tricky one. Suppose you are planning to buy a flat for yourself, maybe a bigger 3 BHK or 2.5 BHK depending on your future needs. Maybe right now you're not having kids, but make sure if you have a kids, you need a study room for them. Maybe you need a small balcony for them. Maybe you need a bigger kitchen for yourself. So all these things you need to keep in mind when you think about the size of flat if you're buying for yourself. But if you're buying it for the investment purpose, then always make sure to buy a flat which is at a location that it can be rented easily. If you have an option to buy an average flat in a great location or a dreamy house in an average location and you are buying a house for an investment purpose, you make sure that you always choose a first one. You know why? Because it is an investment. What are you going to do with that dreamy house if it is not going to be get rented? Okay, next is repayment capacity. So generally when you go to a bank, they will tell you you are eligible for 80 lakhs or 70 lakhs or 90 lakhs, whatever it is. And you also think that you can buy a house up to 80-90 lakhs. I would suggest in this tough time, go for the lower limit. If they are telling you 80 lakhs, if you think it is 80 lakhs, buy up to 60-65 lakhs only. Keep your fund ready for any emergency purpose. Also, do not stretch yourself too much. You will realize over the period of time that it is not worth it. And there's always something available good in your budget if you decide on your budget. This brings us to the next point, which is a down payment. Keep up to 25% of down payment ready with you. Although today banks are providing up to 80-90% loan, wherein you only need to bring 10-20% of margin, but I would suggest you bring in a 25% of margin. This will enable you in future to close down your loan sooner, and also you will end up paying lesser interest over your loan amount. So our next point is, while you are building a fund for your down payment, simultaneously build a fund for your emergency purposes. In today's scenario, somebody loses their job, you do not have emergency fund to pay off that loan. So you need to have an emergency fund. In case you are taking a loan, you need to have an emergency fund sideways available with you so that in case of exigencies, you can use it. Another important thing is you need to assess how much tax you are paying currently and how much tax you will be paying after you take a loan or you buy a house. Now again, it is very important, if you are renting a house, then the rent which you get from that is also an income, so that will be taxable. Although interest and principal you are paying towards the bank will be exempted, but your rent will be your income. So you need to decide, if you're buying a house, whether it should be in your single name or both husband and wife name. What will happen in that case, whatever rental income you will get, you can show 50-50 in both the names, and that can help you in reducing the tax amount on that income. Also, whatever these sections are, I am gonna make a separate video on that. If you want to watch that, you can subscribe to my channel so that you can be notified next time I make those videos. So after all these things, you will now go to a builder, and there are certain things which you need to keep in mind when you go to a builder. Very important thing is negotiate. This is a perfect time. 2021 is a perfect time when the power is in your hand. Till date, real estate agency was on boom and they were charging us anything. Of course, everybody knows that real estate prices were inflated a lot, but now all builders are in need and they also know that what they were charging earlier was not justified. So now ball is in your court. You can negotiate as much as you want. Of course, don't go overboard. If you will ask for a discount of 10 to 20 lakhs, they will not give. But yes, 4-5 lakh is easily what they can offer you, and you should always do it confidently. Don't fear that you are asking them a favor. It is your right, okay? Next thing which you have to see is what is the maintenance you have to pay. Generally we see the house cost only, but thereafter the cost comes is the maintenance, and sometimes some societies have very high maintenance, which is around 5 to 6,000 per month, coming to 60-70,000 a year. It is not worth it if it is not in your budget. So make sure what is the maintenance there after the society will be formed in that particular place. Next is a parking cost. Nowadays builders are even charging 1 to 2 lakhs for a parking space. You can definitely negotiate on that. Builders can come up to 40 to 50,000 as well, or sometimes they totally waive it off, or sometimes in the same price they can even offer you 2 parking space. So discuss that too. Another thing is, when they quote their price, ask them whether this is a consolidated price or whether for registration, stamp duty and etc. you have to pay. Sometimes they don't tell you all about those costs and they add that cost later on when you are supposed to make the payments. So make sure that all the lists, you can ask for the price list and they can mail it to you. Have it on your mail so that you can have a consolidated clear breakup of what are the taxes, what is the flat cost, what is the stage of construction and everything. Next thing is check for the project stage. Now it could be a launching stage, a half stage or almost a completion stage. Many a times builder will call you at the launching stage and will ask you to come over for a meeting or something so that they can offer you a launching price. Now it is up to you whether you want to get into something which has not just yet come. I won't say it is a bad idea, you can do that, but in that case always and always go for a reputed builders. If a project has not come to through the halfway and you are entering into it, then the builder has to be of great reputation. And if the project is almost completed, then ask them at what stage or at what time occupancy will come, when will be the society formed, what is the possession date. So all these questions you should ask your builder with reference to the project stage. So next point is like a bonus tip, because I have always told this in all my videos, no matter what people say, go home and do your research. You know, sometimes brokers and builders and other people will tell you that the price of this particular property is going to boom because airport is supposed to come here, metro line is supposed to come here, new mall is supposed to come here, but whatever is supposed to come here is not yet there. And you should go back home and just Google about it. Let this project, whatever the project, like metro project, how many years that project will take to complete. So if it is going to take 10 years and they're charging that value today, it makes zero sense to indulge in that kind of property. So after all this is done, now you will go to the bank to take a loan mostly. In that case, very first thing you need to take care of is your credit score. Your credit score should be good enough. You know why? Because there are a lot of banks which make and decide your interest rate based on your credit score. You know, bank generally, if a person is having credit score below 600, they don't prefer them giving a loan, and if it is above 850, it is considered to be good. So you need to have a good credit score in order to get a good rate of interest or even to avail a loan from a bank. For that purpose, make sure that you pay all your EMIs timely, you pay your credit card bills timely. Please don't get into all the fuss of taking 10 different credit cards, and sometimes you swipe those credit cards and even don't swipe that credit card, and the charges keep on applying, and that starts reflecting in your CIBIL score or the credit score. So be very mindful of the credit cards you are having. It can affect your CIBIL score. So as we are discussing about bank, now we are going to discuss about the rate of interest. So in this pandemic, many banks have slashed down their rate of interest and they have become very competitive in terms of that. So you can go and check which bank is offering what kind of rate of interest. You need not to go physically to the banks. There are a lot of websites which are providing that information to you, and try to make a use of it and choose a rate of interest which is the lowest. But yes, that is not the only criteria. There is one more thing which you need to keep in mind when you are going for a loan besides rate of interest, which brings us to our next point. So next is principal and interest. Principal is the loan amount which you have taken from the bank, and the interest is what you pay on that, like 10% or 12%, whatever it is. Now your EMI is a combination of this. When you pay your EMI, you pay certain portion towards principal and certain portion towards interest. Now tell me, suppose if you want to pay 1 lakh extra besides your EMI, suppose your EMI was 15,000 but you have 1 lakh extra in your pocket and you want to pay it towards the loan, where exactly it should go? Should it go toward principal or should it go towards interest? Yes, that is a very important question which you need to ask your banker. Generally bank, what they do, they make it towards the interest. Now your outstanding was 9 lakhs as on date, you paid 1 lakh, it has gone towards interest. Tomorrow again 10% will be applied on your 9 lakhs only. But if the payment of that 1 lakh has gone towards principal, your principal has come down from 9 lakh to 8 lakhs, and then 10% would have applied on 8 lakhs only. So technically, when you make an extra payment, it should go towards your principal and not towards your interest portion. Yes, this is the thing which lot of banks will not tell you, and they will allure you with the lower rate of interest, but when you make an extra payment, it goes towards interest. So even if you have to pay 0.5% extra, always make sure that whatever extra payment you are making, it is going towards the principal, and ask this question to your banker initially only. Next point is, look for the future prospect of the house which you are buying in 2021. Although sometimes you will get a house at a much lower rate this year, but see if you want to sell it after 10 years or 15 years, will you be getting any profit out of it? If you want to live in there, you see whether that locality will be suitable for you to live after 10 or 12 years. So I'll give you a very small example. Like if you buy a 3 BHK house, 3 BHK house, it will be more difficult to sell a 3 BHK house as compared to a 2 BHK house in next coming of years. You can take a track record. It is always easier to sell a smaller house as compared to a bigger house. And last but not the least, do not buy a house because your friend is buying. Similarly, the way you tell your kids, do not buy a chocolate, do not buy a toy, don't get stubborn for something just because their friends are getting it. Exactly the same way you should not buy a house because your friends, relatives or colleagues are buying it. So this was my take on how to buy a house in 2021. I too bought my house few years back, and this was my take on that, how I managed to do it. You can watch that. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. It means a lot and it will help me to grow. Until next time, take care. Bye bye.